This episode is sponsored by Google Play with the help of Candy Crush Saga. Hey, party people, how's it going? Welcome to another exciting episode of Honest Trailer Commentaries, the show where we talk about our honest trailer for this week, Toy Story 4, give you our behind-the-scenes thoughts, go into a little more depth. We watch a trailer together, we see some cut jokes, deleted scenes, and we answer comments and questions from viewers like you, so keep them coming on that side of the screen. I hope I got that right. And then we tease next week's honest trailer. Hey, Lon, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Taco's here. Sometimes I start talking, and he thinks I'm talking to him, and he freaks out, and this is easier than him sitting back there howling.
Much better. And I will now soothe him by thanking our sponsor one more time, because this episode is brought to you by Google Play. Click the link in the description that way to satisfy your gaming sweet tooth with Candy Crush Saga, and download now. I'm a Candy Crush Saga player, Lon. I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, wow. What
I liked it so much, I'm also a member.
Are you in the thousands at this point? The hundreds?
I don't know.
It goes on forever.
I just like to watch the little bleep bloops bloop away. It's very satisfying. But we're here today to talk today about Toy Story 4. It goes without saying that it's a good movie, but I think you have to judge it against the other Toy Stories. And in that sense, it's maybe my least favorite Toy Story. What say you?
I feel like the first one, I mean, you gotta give it up to the first Toy Story for being what it was, this sort of groundbreaking moment in animation. A great movie. I'm not here to knock it. But I think it's probably the one on rewatch that I'm the least inclined to revisit, just because it's the most outdated animation now. And it's the most, it's a basic sort of story compared to what the franchise would do in later times. So I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and review the whole franchise, but I'm inclined to say that's probably my least favorite. I agree that this one is
that basicness of Toy Story 1 is what appeals to me the most, though, Lon. And I feel like there's been kind of Toy Story inflation where they've added more plot points and more razzle-dazzle to it, whereas the first one was such just an elemental story about growing up and moving on, and they kind of keep having to
This is why I think 2 is the best, because to me, 2 is the perfect balance of, it's still this very sort of sweet story that's focused on the few sort of main characters, and it expands the universe in a way that still feels true to what the first movie was doing, but it makes it on a grander scale, and you're outside, and it's in the world more. I feel like 3 is when it started to get so weighty. I first became aware of wow, this is existential and it's really emotional. And then 4, I think that almost reaches, it's almost ridiculous in 4 how, sad it is in some ways, how reflective and how it's got this real melancholy that it didn't have at first.
I think that was always subtext. I think even in the first one,
right.
The idea of you not having a purpose anymore was there, but now it's become the super text. They just it was it's superliminal advertising.
Yeah, it was bittersweet in 1 and 2, but it was a whimsical story that just had this kind of edge to it. Whereas 3 and 4, I think, is where it's becoming the text. These are sad, depressing tales about obsolete objects that recognize their obsolescence.
And I think that was handled as well as you could hope for in 3, and it gave them a good send-off. And every time they announced a new Toy Story, I would say, why? But then every time they had an answer, until this one. I think that's why it's my least favorite, because I just don't feel like it was necessary character-wise or necessarily was saying anything new about these characters that they managed to do in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's partly true, and I also think that in a lot of ways, this one is just starting to show maybe that this premise is now expanded beyond its sell-by date. I mean, it also feels like Fair and Antique Store right across the way from each other. We're just running out of primary locations, places for there to reasonably be toys. We're running up against. How many more of these movies do we have? I think I pitched this and we didn't include it in the honest trailer. I guess there's a guy's cubicle might have toys, and a sex shop has toys, and we're almost at, I don't know where else we go.
I think that the problem is you go with contemporary toys and they're all on a phone, and then you're just doing Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's just real world locations where there are toys. Like, well, we've done a school, we've done a daycare, we've done, like we're just, like, kids don't bring their toys that many places, you guys.
I mean, really, it
like
should
the
head
ballroom at a fast food place. Like, we're just running out.
If they had the guts, they'd do it, since toys are sentient. They'd have some type of liberation where they go assault the factories where they're assembled and
I like
do a small soldiers type turning on their masters.
Like Boots Riley does a Toy Story.
Yeah, give Toy Story 5 to Boots Riley.
Give Toy Story to Boots Riley is what we're saying.
Anyways, we'll get into more of it as we now watch the honest trailer for Toy Story 4. Hit it.
From one of your favorite Disney Plus categories comes a whimsical adventure about how sometimes daddies feel useless. And when daddies feel useless, it's bye-bye kids and hello nurse. Toy Story 4.
Yeah, pause. Character-wise, I feel like this can't be the first time. I know it was in 1, and I think it was in 2 and 3 to some extent, is like, it's so much about propping up Woody's fragile ego. Like, that just keeps having to happen again and again and again.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I think I also wrote a whole big thing. This did sort of make it into the honest trailer. I think this movie, for the first time, is really pushing up against, like, what is the nature of the toy owner relationship? And, like, is it weirdly one-sided? Like, are toys happy slaves in this world?
They're like droids.
Because we assume it is sort of like the droid in Star Wars problem, where we assume in the first one, it's like, well, but that's the ultimate goal. If you're a toy, that's what's most fulfilling for you, is to play with the child that owns you and bring that kind of happiness. Like, that's your goal in life. It'd be like a human who get very skilled at something when you do your work and then somebody gets a lot of benefit out of it. That satisfaction. And I feel like that worked in the first movie is like the metaphor. But by now, where it's like, oh, Woody really would be happy going off on his own and being with his love, Bo Peep, but he feels this like weird duty to his owner. And it's like, we're not really exploring that tension and it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if they have a good answer for that. Like, well, does a toy have a responsibility? Like, just because a kid owns you and like you can, and we see how randomly ownership of toys can work. It's like literally if a kid sees you in a box and is like, oh, a dolly. It's like, is that a lifelong contract now that you've entered into? Like,
it seems highly neurotic.
It doesn't work out.
This is maybe why Woody is such a mess. It's just the day-to-day existence of being a toy is like constantly doing these like special ops missions to like recover lost comrades and to like be ready to play dead at the drop of a hat and stuff like that. Always looking over your shoulder for a human. It sounds terrible to be a toy.
Yeah, it's like, why? Like, they're not getting compensated. Like, it's not a job. I was thinking of it in the first Toy Story, the metaphor of like a job well done and it's satisfying works. But by 3 or 4, it's like, well, no, this is just their entire life is like sworn duty to these kids. And I just don't know if the franchise is prepared to really handle all of this metaphorical weight.
We'll get into more of that later. Keep playing.
Yeah.
Rejoin your old pals Buzz and Woody, who, thanks to advancements in technology, are looking like they've had some work done. Also rejoin no one else for very long to make room for cool new characters like Forky, Pixar's attempt to make suicidal depression fun for the whole family.
You're just like
Pause.
me.
Forky? I mean, did he tread the annoying, cute barrier well enough for you, or did he fall to one side?
I really liked Forky. I think in some ways because of what we're pointing out, that it's so like almost wrong in an animated movie. Like his death drive is so strong for the first half of the movie that it's shocking in some ways. Like, I thought it was really funny. I thought Tony Hale did a really great job, and like I like that character a lot. I will say, to sort of talk about what we discussed at the beginning of this run, it does kind of bum me out now that these movies are so much about every time we've got to introduce this new cast of new toy characters voiced by all your favorite TV comedians. And like, we're doing that every time now, and it's just too much. Like, I don't feel like I've properly gotten to know the Toy Story 3 gang, and now they're sidelined so I can meet the Toy Story 4 gang. And it's like, slow your roll. Like
I just want to hang out with Wallace Shawn. Really?
Yeah, like Rex and Slinky Dog are still there. Like, you don't need to keep beefing up this ensemble so much. It's just going to get expensive for them, too. Like, you really want to pay Kristen Schaal and Jeff Garlin and show up and say 2 lines?
Yeah.
All right.
Key and Peele can't be cheap these days, but...
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's great. It's fun to see them, and Christina Hendricks is in this one, and, like, they add cool new people every time. I'm not complaining, but it is, like, so aggressive now every time that it's like we got to work 20 new toys into all of these movies, and it's just like, okay, then you're making it so each of them gets like literally one throwaway line in the next movie, and they're not really a character anymore.
Yeah, I mean they're not ensembles. Like this is about Buzz and Woody, and in this one, really just Woody. Like
not even Buzz. Yeah, I noticed that too. That Buzz is almost totally sidelined in this one.
And they make him like he was never the brightest, but they make him like a stone cold idiot in this movie. I think he takes a few steps backwards.
Also, like just that he'd never even considered like the nature of this voice box that he's had forever. Like you would have thought about what that was before now, right? No.
I mean, it is a real thing that like
you need a new bit. It's the 4th movie. You need a new bit for it.
Yeah. People, I was surprised to hear that like people don't have interior monologues. Like this was like a debate online, like in your brain. Do you like people don't hear their own thoughts?
Right. Some people don't audibly hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't visually picture things either. That's the like if I say a chocolate ice cream cone, some people actually visually in their mind get an image of a chocolate ice cream cone, whereas other people are just abstractly conceptualizing, oh, I know what that is.
Right.
So yeah, all of our brains are different.
Mine is just basically Homer Simpson with the bear in the car driving in circles.
The little monkey.
You know, the ballet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
You're just like me. Trash! Bunny and Ducky, an on-screen depiction of how Key and Peele resent being chained to each other at this point in their careers. Gabby Gabby, the toy equivalent of cannibals who want to harvest and consume body parts to gain their enemy's power. But, no one wants to be her friend. And finally, Keanu Reeves is here to be Keanu Reeves, because someone said, hey, we've got Keanu Reeves money, so when the plot starts to drag, let's cut to Keanu Reeves. Hey, I didn't know you could do that. Can we just cash in on how much you love Keanu from other stuff too?
Kevin had too much fun making this one.
Yeah. I guess we could pause. Is Keanu Reeves Canadian? He's not, is he?
I was just going to ask that. Like, he can't be French-Canadian. I mean, he could, but he doesn't sound like he's a Frenchman.
But if you saw this film without context, you'd be like, oh, they're making fun of how that actor is so Canadian. And like it was just weird. Like the whole character's bit is Canadian, but also Keanu Reeves, but super Canadian, but also Keanu Reeves. Like Keanu Reeves is not Canadian. Like that's a weird.
I didn't even realize it was Keanu, frankly, until afterwards. I thought they were just making fun of, you know, not Super Dave Osborne, but Evel Knievel. Like this was a knockoff Evel Knievel toy.
Yes.
It would have made sense if it was like Mario Lemieux. I can't even think of like who are French Canadian celebrities. Celine Dion.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Chad is claiming he's Canadian and apparently has dual citizenship, and so if you go by Chat, and Chat is law, then he is Canadian.
Keanu Reeves is Canadian. Wow.
There you go. Keanu
but like
Reeves,
Quebecois, like French Canadian, or like
now. He grew up in Toronto, so they are correct. He was born in Beirut, but he grew up in Toronto, so he is Canadian.
Wow.
So there you go.
And look, I don't really know Canada, but I do feel like you know, a Toronton making fun of French Canadians is that's appropriation, sir.
I thought, wasn't he Hawaiian? Isn't that? I'm going to get this wrong.
He's a mystery.
They're going to freak out in chat. They're going to yell.
He's an enigma wrapped in a mystery, and we love him.
No,
for
you idiot! Never even been to Hawaii. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Get Drake to do it. All right, keep going.
It's working. Studios may have stopped making dramas, but that doesn't mean we all don't still need a good cry now and then. As you return to the franchise that started out as a buddy comedy with a dash of insight, but somehow along the way leaned hard into existential dread. In this animated romp where the major characters wonder if they have a soul.
The voice inside of you. Who do you think it is?
make snap decisions that will determine their fate for the rest of their lives,
Are you sure?
and confront the grim reality of permanent physical injuries that will render them garbage forever. Wait, so Bo Peep lives on a
Pause.
playground and she's...
There's like a particularly horrifying moment where Woody's like at that club at the antique store, like the nightclub or whatever, and this like battery operated toy goes up to him. It's like, battery, I need a battery. And it's played like he's a junkie or like
a junkie. Yeah.
That's horrible. Battery operated toys are like slowly dying and they need a fix.
With 3 and 4, they're finally like, okay, everybody who saw the first one when they were a kid, they're adults now. We can get straight savage with this stuff. Like, we can just make this for the parents. And if the kids will enjoy bright colors, shiny things, whatever. They'll hear voices they know. But yeah, this one feels like straight up the middle for adults. And it's like sad and weird and like, yeah, like people are agreeing to donate their voice boxes so another toy can get a new lease on life because they were broken from when they were born. And it's just like, my God, are we going to get to the fair? What's going on? When are we going to get to the fireworks factory? Isn't this a romp? So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it's less like Pixar formula, like, okay, we can do the drama and the weepy part, and then there's a chase scene, and then there's this. But like, it's a bit much in this one. Like, it's really dark. Yeah.
I do think, well, we'll talk about the Pixar formula and chase scenes shortly, or we can just get to it now where it's like, I think that they usually do such a good job of balancing character and theme and action so artfully that like you don't even notice. But this one, it seemed like very contrived and like kind of MacGuffin-y to just get Woody from A to B to C to D to E to F, and then they just have like little dark moments along the way.
I mean, that is kind of what I'm saying about I think the antique store and the fair stuff, it's just like, I know these are 2 locations you really wanted to use, but there's just a lot of like business about them that feels like extraneous. Like, we got to get here, and then you got to get in here and through here and to here. And we do this bit. It's coming up in the trailer where it's like it used to be the whole movie would be one relatively simple mission. Like a human, it would be something that would take us a minute. Like, I got to go from this house over to next door upstairs, and like it's that.
I'm trapped in the car. I got to get back home. But now it was very Rise of Skywalker-y, where like we got to find the triangle to find the doodad that helps us to find the other triangle to see where the guy is sitting.
Right. And it's always like a 3-step thing. And before we get here, we got to do this and then this thing.
And we need to split up so you can have a B story.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit, a lot of just like business. And I think Key and Peele are funny in this, but their characters in that whole scenario, I think a lot of it is just like, all right. I mean, obviously we got to get Buzz through this fairground somehow. Via comical business.
Insert comical business here.
Yeah. I mean, but it is like, and they don't have a choice. So there's nothing else. They're not going to make this a Terrence Malick movie, but it does. At this point, it's been a formula long enough that you do feel the movie falling into that mode. It's like, okay, heart tugging reunion here. Okay. Set up for a new character here. Okay. It's this chunk and then this chunk and then this chunk and then you're done.
Yeah. All right. Keep going.
Wait, so Bo Peep lives in a playground and she's made of porcelain, but the only thing that's broken in years is one arm? I'm starting to think these movies aren't even based on a true story. Right along for another story about some toys, where they're not even trying to hide their sentience anymore.
Your backpack's in the antique store.
Oh no, my backpack!
And who will turn against their masters if it furthers their selfish aims.
Dad's totally going to jail.
Because when one
pause.
kid...
That whole ending where like they make a RV plow through a carnival, like, it is a miracle that there aren't children stuck in that wheel well at the end of Toy Story 4.
I have to say, I didn't love that element of this whole movie. This to me, 4 feels like the first time where they're just like, toys aren't going to care anymore about whether humans hear them or know them. Like, it used to be very strict. Like, any human in the immediate proximity, you go limp and you're dead and like nothing, no matter what they do. They could burn a hole in your face and you're not allowed to like react at all. Right. And now in this one, it's like, if they hear you, but it could be a person outside. It's okay. And it's like, wait a minute. If you could just interact with the human world this whole time, like, again, it brings up this uncomfortable tension of like, well, then who's forcing them to be quiet? Like, why aren't they just like, hey, I'm a toy, I'm real, and I exist. Screw you, man. You know, like.
They kill the ones that do that. And also it shows you that like, toy loyalty extends only as far as the child. Like the parents, they're SOL, right. Man. They can
don't give a shit. You don't
go to jail, go to hell. Like we're sticking with the 4-year-old.
On some level, it's play. Like what bonds the kids and the toys is play. And if you don't play with them, they do not care about you at all. You don't exist.
You're dead to us.
It's true. That's what Woody has to explain to Forky. Like, your body's trash. And that's what makes it make sense to him.
Yeah. All right. Keep playing.
Masters if it furthers their selfish aims.
Dad's totally going to jail.
Because when one kid and her dumb fork are separated, Woody's got to get to kindergarten, get to Forky, get back to the family, get away from the antique store, get away from this other kid, get back to the antique store, get the key to the cabinet, get to the cabinet, get away from the cat, get to Forky, get back to Bonnie, get back to Gabby, get to the carousel, get back to Bonnie, wait, hold that thought, get Gabby to a stray child, now get back to Bonnie, hold that thought, get back to Bo, and live happily ever after. Look, there was no good reason to make another one of these. But if the story moves fast enough, you might not even notice, and darn it, how did they manage to make me cry again? My childhood died 3 Toy Stories ago. So prepare to lose yourself.
Unless it is Boots Riley or something completely different, I do hope this is the last Toy Story. Because all in all, after everything is said and done, like, they did end it well. They did give you, like, some finality and a send-off, and... You know, I assume Woody and Bo live happily ever after until one kid steps on her and she shatters into like 1,000 shards.
I feel like the way to do it, if you must keep the franchise going, if you absolutely must, I think it shouldn't be this narrative anymore. So like we got to get away from Woody. I mean, I'm sure they'd be delighted to not have to pay Tom Hanks every time regardless. I don't think we need to do Woody and Buzz and Bonnie and this room full of toys. But I also think it would be pretty easy to keep this going with just, it's the same world, the toys play by the same rules, but here's a new room full of toys. Here's a new premise involving toys. Like, you could keep this going, like, Forky could be his own movie with a different character advising him, and like, it didn't need to be this.
He's got his own Disney
So I think
Plus
that there
series.
is a way forward for Disney. I mean, just like what they're doing with the Monsters, Inc. TV spinoff, where it's going to be, it's set within the company Monsters, Inc., but it's not Mike Wazowski and Sully and their crew. It's like different people who work there. And I think Pixar's got a lot of room that they could do. They could do that with like most of their worlds. Like I could see it's set at the aquarium from Finding Dory, but you don't need Nemo and Dory in it as well.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
it's just the
shut-ins
who build Gundams, meticulously painted Gundams.
Love it.
It could be Joe and his Warhammer figurines coming to life at night.
Honestly, like that, I do think, like, because we were talking about, I think somebody pitched this as a movie fight one time, and it wasn't me. So if this was you, well done on your movie fight premise. I remembered it. But there was somebody who was like, it's set in an office, and all of the guy's knickknacks from his cubicle are the toys that come to life, and they've got to, like, save his job or something, and it's like at a workplace Toy Story. And like, I think that could totally work. Like, do it for Disney Plus. Why not?
Okay, well, you're right. Time marches on. More Toy Stories are inevitable.
But I agree with you that this narrative of these toys coming to terms with their toy mortality or whatever, like, this feels done to me. I don't feel the need to rejoin Woody and Bo on the road or whatever. That's good. We're good.
Okay, good. Agreed. Okay, keep going.
There we go.
So prepare to lose yourself in an adventure that looks even more dazzling than the others, even though Randy Newman clearly phoned it in this time. In a film that's not interested in your dumb logical questions about how this world works.
How am I alive?
I don't know.
But really wants to explore whether toys should prefer rough play with a string of different children or stick to the stable, gentle caress of a single child with whom they share a deep and lifelong bond. Okay, why does it sound like I'm describing 50 Shades of Grey now? Way to make it weird, movie.
Combat Carl's getting played with.
Starring Retire, Kitsch, Karl Marx, Communist Manifesto.
Pause.
I'm so glad that made
I know that this one, like all things, are forgotten into the ether in like 48 hours, but this is just verbatim something that Tim Allen shared on his Twitter. Is Karl Marx
just the other day.
Communist
I don't know
Manifesto
what my
Wikipedia.
favorite. I don't know what my favorite part of this whole thing is. Misspelling Karl Marx, obviously A+. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Suggesting the Wikipedia version of the Communist Manifesto. I mean, it is just a manifesto. You could just read it. You don't need to. It's not
Very
a book.
digestible.
It's just. It was a pamphlet originally.
It's Spark Notes.
But then also, this was almost definitely a Google search that he typed into Twitter accidentally and then tried to own, right? I mean, we all agree on that, right?
I think it had to be like, oh God, yeah. I'm trying to fight a lib online. Let me see what he has to say.
What was there's problems with that Communist Manifesto? What was he on about, that Karl Marx?
Yeah, and then he clicked on controversies on the Wikipedia entry. Let me just scroll down here. Rebuttals.
Oh, a lot of these, lots to work with.
I would love if Tim Allen in Wikipediaing the Communist Manifesto just became like a Maoist. He's like, seize the means of production?
Wait a minute. So I should have owned all those tools myself? This changes everything.
Toolmen of the world unite. That's another good movie. All right, keep going.
Yeah.
Karl Marx, Communist Manifesto, Wikipedia.
I'm in cutlery now, mother.
Twee and Peel, Bows Before Bros, Police Cutality, Dolly Darko, Keanu Reeves, Party of Fives, and beloved character
puns.
actors getting paid to only say Woody and Buzz.
Buzz and Woody.
Woody.
Woody. Woody?
Buzz. Woody. Woody.
Buzz, Buzz,
Woody.
Buzz.
Woody.
Buzz. Woody.
Buzz, Buzz.
What would Woody do?
Child's Play. So when Bo Peep, a lamp, looks at these chandeliers, did she think they're like her cousins or something?
I mean, yeah, we
Yes.
could have put 1,000 existential questions in there. I mean,
Yeah, we had a few different ones. Dolly is incredible. That's Bonnie Hunt as the little felt doll character who says 3 things in this whole movie.
yeah.
Such a you gotta get. She's starred in 8 TV shows.
There were some messed up things I did not put in here. One was what happens when people make their toys kiss each other. That's really messed up because they're alive
Oh, I
and they
didn't
have
even think about that.
no choice.
Well, they have significant others. They have relationships. So you're making them cheat on one another. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, totally. And then, that joke, we don't even need to talk about that joke. That's
Wow.
That's not, that one is too hot for the outtakes even.
Too hot even for commentaries.
Even for commentaries. But we did
I like
cut
that the 50 Shades thing did get
Yes.
in there because there's a lot. This movie in particular versus 3, because 3 and 4, I'm just gonna go for it. They changed the narrative because 3 is a toy's worst nightmare would be you're in a daycare and all these kids are gonna come in and it's rough play all day and you're not their toy, so they're not protective of you, so they're just slamming you around. And I was like, okay, I accept that as a premise. But then 4 is the best thing for a toy ever would just be to be on a playground, man. You're free. Any kid comes along. It's isn't that exactly what? So you've set
some
up
toys
now
are into
this-
that.
Right. Some toys
like group
rough.
play, and some toys are more monogamous.
Yeah, I don't want to think about the ramifications of this in terms of the Toy Story series. So yeah, some toys like rough play, and some toys prefer the gentle caress of a child with whom they formed a meaningful bond, and they've groomed this child, you see, and so it's more comfortable.
It couldn't be simpler.
It's my God, this is troubling.
If you guys haven't turned it off in disgust yet, now's the time to thank you for watching. So click like, click subscribe, hit that bell so you can find out every time we're on and having discussions much like this one. So you get what you pay for.
Exactly like this one. Let's be honest.
Also, this Friday, there's another Fandom 5 trivia contest. If you're a console head, if you know your Xbox and your PlayStations, you can answer questions about that and win real money, I believe up to $650, which will get you a PS5 and some games. You sign
Like
up in
one game,
probably one game or plus tax. Yeah, maybe a half a game.
You'll be all right.
It'll be fine.
Get 80% of that Miles Morales game or something. It's fun.
So if you know about that, sign up and play this Friday. Also, it's November, and we're supporting Stack Up, which is a veterans organization that brings veterans and civilians together through a shared love of the gaming. It assists veterans and civilians to assist in crisis intervention, suicide prevention, and issues concerning mental health through gaming and community. November is their call to arms and their biggest fundraising push, so check out stackup.org for more information. With that said, let's roll on into some deleted scenes. See what didn't make it in.
And where even the celebrity cameos are quietly heartbreaking.
Remember when she played house?
I liked House.
Those were the days.
Combat Carl's getting played with.
Oh, come on. Someone give Combat Carl his high five. He wants it so bad. Starring.
He gets
He does
it
get
after
it.
the
Service.
credits.
How the West Was Done. Cowboys on the Side. Spaceman Stiff. Astronaut really in this one. A Tool, man. Astroglide. Next to Last Man Standing. New Spork Dolls. Trash Bandicoot. P.S. I Love Utensil. Poochie. Prize and Dolls. Plushed Away. Sheeple. Funbreakable. Molly's Gangs. The Emancipation of Minnie. Tiny Goon Adventures. Small Cops Are Bastards. Let's We Cops. Brahms the Girl. Puppet Master. Goosebumps. The Daredevil's Advocate. Cheesy Rider. John Trick. The Goldhorns. And Read for Filth.
They're all toys.
Aw, trash. You're just like me. Trash!
The Maybe Litters Club. The Lost Toys. The Plastics. Game of Chaperones.
Yeah, it's a tough one to
I
do
thought the
parody
Maybe
stuff
Litters
for.
Club. I thought the Maybe Litters Club was it, man. When I wrote that one, I was like, hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
It's going right in the trailer.
You're right, because it did have a lot to do about trash. Yeah.
Well, it's right because it's the Babysitter Club, and also he says he's litter. I don't know. Sometimes
So much of this
I'm
one
not
is
saying
about
you should have
what-
picked it. I'm just saying
I should have picked it.
sometimes you hit on the perfect pun, and you're just like, well, that's the perfect pun. But sometimes I agree. The perfect pun is not necessarily the joke that works the best in that spot. It's just the best pun.
It's a great pun.
Because I also think New Spork Dolls for Forky is a really good pun, but it doesn't work perfectly for an honest.
Did you know there are actual professional pun competitions, and they throw out a category and you have to fire off as many on-theme puns as possible?
Yeah, see, that kind of sounds annoying. I kind of like
I mean, of
our
course it's
version of
annoying.
it.
I just think you could crush it.
I probably would do okay. Yeah, I like our version of it where you try to come up with puns, but then a lot of the time, better than the pun is just the dumb joke. I like that about Honest Trailers. That sometimes a dumb joke is even better than a really perfectly crafted, well done
Fake pun name.
pun.
Yeah.
Like Karl Marx Communist Manifesto Wikipedia makes me laugh in this more than any of the puns I read.
There you go. That's it from us. So what did y'all have to say about it? Johannes Stromer asks, well, we kind of covered this. What's your ultimate pitch for Toy Story 5? I do think some type of toy revolution would be a fun, lean into the fact that they're sentient, and maybe this isn't a good deal for some of the toys. Maybe not all of them want to be property.
I like a horror movie. It's a nerd, and he's gonna pack up and get rid of all of his room full of man cave full of Funkos and nerdy toys from a whole lifetime of collecting, and they decide they don't want to get sold and have an uprising. It's like a horror film. Now they're gonna kidnap him and keep him in his house so he can't sell them. And it's like Ready Player One, but a horror film in this one nerd's apartment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that too. Levetto writes, who's your favorite Canadian besides Keanu? Favorite Canadian? I mean,
you gotta tip the hat. Recently departed great TV host Alex Trebek, I think.
Sure.
Tip of our hat to one of the legends of Canada.
Canada is way over-indexed as far as great comedians go.
Right. I was going to say SCTV is a treasure trove. You got your Rick Moranis's, your John Candy's. your Eugene Levy, your entire Levy family
The
at this
entire
point.
Levy family, Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, your Catherine O'Hara's. Exactly. I mean, it's
Martin
almost
Short,
too much
I think,
just
is
right
Canadian.
there. Martin Short is Canadian, yeah.
Jim
Michael
Carrey's
J.
Canadian.
Fox.
Mike Myers, Canadian.
Yeah,
Norm Macdonald's
a lot of-
Canadian.
Yeah, a lot of
like
great
so many.
Canadians.
Every good '90s comedian is Canadian. So thank you, Canada. We appreciate
a lot
it.
of great Canadian entertainers for sure.
I'll throw in my answer: the band Sum 41. That's
and I do have one more.
Plans of the band
Canadian.
Rush. How dare you?
Also, the great Canadian horror auteur David Cronenberg. I also got to throw Cronenberg in
nice.
on my pile of favorite Canadians.
Enough Canada fluffing. Brent Dreyer writes, what are your guys' own worst / least necessary fourth films that he says that ended a franchise? That's kind of tough. I don't know how many.
That ended a
fours were
franchise.
the
Yeah, but
final
once they
one.
get to 4, they usually keep going.
Because I'm sure that whatever the fourth Terminator was bad. Whether that was it wasn't Genesis. It was the one with Christian Bale. Right? Salvation. Yeah, that was a stinker, but they kept going.
That's the one that actually jumps forward into the future war. I was going to say, I don't love Halloween 4. I feel like bringing back Michael Myers was the way to go, but I don't like the direction. And like 4, 5, and 6, that whole trilogy, I don't think is really very good. So I'm inclined to say that kind of brought the series back, but on a weak footing.
Yeah, there aren't many that had 4. I'm just looking at a list.
Are we
of them,
considering The Phantom Menace the 4th Star Wars film?
Yeah, like the ones that literally ended on number 4. Like I'm looking at a thing. It's like
I don't think that fits the spirit of it.
They made 4 Bloodsports. I mean, I'm going to watch all of them, but I can't imagine Bloodsport 4. The Dark Kumite was as good as the first 3.
No, probably not. I mean, I don't even know if I've seen Bloodsport 2.
They made 4 cutting edge movies? Oh my God.
Wow.
Where was there to
they
go?
Made 4 American Tail movies? That kept going after 5 and went west.
It didn't end the franchise, but some people are saying Terminator Salvation.
Yeah.
I think this counts if you consider the Burton Schumacher Batman series series that Batman and Robin is a pretty bad entry for that did kill off that version of Batman.
Oh, here's the good one. Crystal Skull. I mean, that's a
well, but
fourth
they are coming back for part 5, man. So who knows? But yes, I agree.
There you go. There's your answer.
Yeah.
Final thing, and this is again, thank you to our sponsor, Candy Crush. We love sponsors on this show. That's awesome. Thank you for sponsoring.
This is a fun game.
Having us keep going.
I can actually put my name on that and be like, I feel good telling you to download Candy Crush.
But we should discuss the shows or movies that had the best toys when you were playing them. What were your favorite movie and TV tie-in toys that maybe or maybe not came to life while you weren't there and had rich emotional lives that you ignored as a child?
I played with a lot of like the standard like 80s, like I'm really dating myself when I was a kid, but like Star Wars toys and Transformers and G.I. Joes. I was really into He-Man, Masters of the Universe toys when that film came out. So it wasn't like the toy tie-in with the film because I didn't like the movie, but I already was a big He-Man fan. I'm trying to think of toys that actually tied into movies that I would. I got Ghostbusters.
Oh, Ghostbusters! Yeah, those are with the whole set, with the fire pole and stuff like that.
Yes, I had a lot of Ghostbusters toys, and that both real like the movie Ghostbusters, but also that animated the real Ghostbusters Saturday morning cartoon series I really liked.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of that stuff, like their Slimer and that Ecto-1. And yeah, they had like the whole Firehouse set.
I mean, I was a Turtles kid through and through. I had the main Turtles. I had Slash. I had Casey Jones. My brother had the blimp, but he broke it. That was lame. And then the van gun that shot pizzas. Those are definitely my favorite.
Oh, sure.
Toys as a kid. But the thing is, like, if they came to life at night, they would just reenact Ninja Turtles, I guess. They would just have to be in a ceaseless war against each other.
They would have been Ninja Turtles. So they would have had to. I do remember that, and it was not my I was a really big fan of the movie. I don't know if I played with the toys a lot. I think I was probably aging out of toy range at this point. But also I had a bunch of Willow toys. There was like a whole tie-in Willow. So you could get the castle and Mad Mardigan.
Yeah, the Mad Mardigan, nice.
The evil wicked queen and the skull. The guy's got the big skull helmet on.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of those figures as well at some point.
That's fun. All right. Well, that's it for this week, you guys. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. And come back next week where we will be talking about something that's, it's a new movie that feels old. It felt old to me. So you be the judge of that. Thanks again to Candy Crush for the sponsorship, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. This episode is sponsored by Google Play. Download Candy Crush Saga and discover more on Google Play now.